Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
You're listening to House of Cards.
Today, the game is different.
I want to gamble. Gambling is a very serious business. Is that clear?
Welcome to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you here, deep from the swamps of Jersey. We got a great show coming up for you. When it comes to iGaming and sports betting, data and cybersecurity are critical. Look, if data is not protected or the platform is vulnerable to cyber threats, then not only does the gaming platform suffer, so does the customer. There's one company that stands head and shoulders above all the others when it comes to cybersecurity and protecting a platform's data. That company is Continent 8 Technologies. We're going to hear all about Continent 8 and its founder and CEO, Michael Tobin, in a two-part interview with Michael. When we come back, part one of my interview with Michael Tobin, talking about all the incredible work Continent 8 Technology does for the gaming industry, not only in this country, but around the world. So stick around. We'll be right back with House of Cards. Hey, Dave Weishuttle from House of Cards. I just got my Dugout mug delivered, and I am loving it. Dugout mugs are mugs made out of baseball bats, and they are officially licensed by Major League Baseball, so you can get your favorite baseball team's logo on your mug. Just think of it, enjoying your favorite drink while watching your favorite baseball team with your team's logo on your mug made from a baseball bat. They can even make customized mugs. Check out the mug they made for House of Cards. I mean, just look at that. That looks awesome. I've never seen anything like them. If you go to dugoutmugs.com, you'll find out they even make more things than mugs. They have baseball board games, grilling equipment made from baseball bats. They even have a section for gifts for under $30. Head on over to dugoutmugs.com, because if you're a baseball fan or need a gift for a baseball fan, you have to check out Dugout Mugs. And use our promo code PIKE at checkout to get 20% off your purchase price. That's promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E. Also, free shipping with orders over $99. You can't beat that. DugoutMugs.com. That's my go-to place if I need a gift for a baseball fan. Well, if you excuse me now, the game is about to go on, and the wind is just right for drinking. Hey, this is Dave Weishuttle from House of Cards with your House of Cards gaming report for the week of July 6, 2026. Delaware North launched Ember Casino, which is a new online casino brand in New Jersey. Ember Casino platform includes online slots, table games, and live dealer games, all of which are powered by Playtech. The new online platform also incorporates Playtech's responsible gambling tools, including BetBuddy. The Ember Casino brand will eventually replace Delaware North's Betley brand across its digital gaming platforms. According to Statehouse News Services, the launch of Massachusetts online lottery products is imminent. The Massachusetts Lottery Commission gave the green light to virtual scratch tickets and 2 new daily draw games. According to the reports, retail staples like Megabucks and Mass Cash will be included in the offerings, as well as online exclusive draw games and instant win games offered through Aristocrat Interactive. And finally, fans of Rake and Bacon should get on over to Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel in Southern California this summer. Global gaming supplier AGS is debuting the newest Rake and Bacon themed games exclusively at the property. Fans can now be the first to play Rake and Bacon's Oktoberfest themed games, the Rake and Bacon Hogtoberfest and Hogger Lager, and join in all the fun with Cornsquilius. I'm not making that up, that's the pig's name. Have any news or tips regarding casinos, gaming, or legislation? Send us an email at newsroom@houseofcardsradio.com and follow us on X at HOC Radio.
You're listening to House of Cards. Check out our website at houseofcardsradio.com.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you. Working in the gaming industry and talking to a lot of gaming platforms, I know how important data is to the industry. The data in the iGaming and sports betting industry has to be secure in order to protect not only the providers, but also the customers. When I think of this aspect in the industry, I think of one company, and that is Continent 8 Technology. They are the leader in cutting-edge managed IT solutions to so many platforms in so many locations. We're going to hear all about Continent 8 and its CEO and founder, Michael Tobin, because we are lucky to have Michael Tobin on the line with us right now. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dave. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you on. I mean, as I said, I work in the gaming industry, and I talk to a lot of operators. I go to a lot of conferences, and without fail, we end up talking about the great things Continent 8 does for this industry. And I'm not exaggerating when I say Continent 8 means a lot to people who work in the iGaming and sports betting industry. I mean, this interview is possible because it first started with a conversation I had in Atlantic City about Continent 8. But for people who do not work in the gaming industry who are listening right now, tell us about Continent 8 and its very important functions it undertakes in the gaming industry and other industries, not only in the United States, but for around the world.
Okay, Dave, it's like any business or an entrepreneur's journey into business, you just have to be prepared for opportunities that come upon you. And that's what happened with myself over 25 years ago. I'm not a gaming guy. I'm not a gambling guy. I've never even bought a lottery ticket in my life. So it's certainly when we get described as part of the gaming industry, it's not because we're gaming guys. It's because, and it's funny because now we're entering an age where technology is changing society in a big way. You know, almost 30 years ago at the top of the .com boom,
Sure.
I think it was probably the other event, and historians will look back upon, you know, the .com boom and the requirement for real estate for the internet gave me the idea. I had a background. I'm a CPA by profession, but really an entrepreneur by nature, and specialized in technology for customers at that time. Much simpler world then, and real estate. And it became clear to me that technology is ahead of legal requirements, an infrastructure for allowing industries to grow. And you see that today with the world of AI and cybersecurity.
Sure.
So we came up with an idea that we would build data centers. And that's what it all started. So it was digital infrastructure, real estate, hard assets to serve a technology environment. And that's where we are today. Technology is our forte. We've grown our product set from, and really because of the gaming industry, because as you described, it's a really exciting industry. And a lot of the people that you meet in it, surprisingly, aren't gaming people. They're technologists and marketers and entrepreneurs, and even though the industry's grown, and I think we're partly responsible for shepherding that through because a lot of people trust us, which is a key factor in gaming, obviously.
Sure.
Not just from the entrepreneurs, but from the regulators whom we work closely with, from players who know that, oh, Continent, yeah, I've heard about them, trust them. We work with anybody that is in that ecosystem, and but we're not gaming guys, and our independence, I think, has added to the amount of trust that people have with us as the digital infrastructure provider. And that's, as I said, gone from building a data center and then building data centers globally, going into data centers that aren't our own, but becoming a customer in data centers, where we then can attach what's the next big thing that grew from us is our network. We have one of the largest global networks in the world, connecting all of the sites we're in. Originally, we were co-locating customers who wanted to be in a place where they could feel comfortable and trusted, and it was. And now we have our own private clouds, public clouds, hybrid clouds, where we work with some of the big hyperscale cloud providers significantly, and so we created this ecosystem, which now is. Our cybersecurity practice has grown extensively over the last number of years. And as we move forward, obviously, artificial intelligence, and the operative word there is intelligence. We've launched our Intelligence 8 product set and are expanding our services, our managed services and our people business. So, as I was saying earlier to Doug, we're in a number of locations around the world with people, smart people, where we serve offices around the world where our customers are, but also our people infrastructure is growing globally. So when people ask us, where's your headquarters? It's really in Continent 8.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
A Boogie Woogie Box.
Pardon me. Do you like the radio?
Certainly, I love it.
You've got it.
Oh.
You're listening to House of Cards.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishaupt with you. House of Cards is brought to you by BetMGM Casino. Play your favorite casino games at BetMGM Online Casino. Go to BetMGM Casino, create an account using our promo code Turnpike, and become a verified player. New players get $25 free when signing up, plus a first deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code Turnpike at BetMGM.com for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 free. Must be 21 years or older to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. For those of you just joining us, you're listening to part one of my interview with Michael Tobin, founder and CEO of Continent 8 Technologies. I am always fascinated how something is created, especially companies and businesses. And before any company becomes a reality, there's always a concept or an idea of what it can do for a particular industry. What was your vision when you created Continent 8? And has that vision changed and evolved over the years?
The vision hasn't changed at all. It's implementing it. That's been a slow process because you don't give up the day job and building the business. We had to be really focused on delivering a good product and service, and I think we've been successful at that. As I said, we didn't start saying, "Oh, here's internet gaming," and we've really actually helped build that industry. I go back to a time where literally it was just beginning, and it started really as and this is where you talk about how businesses start, entrepreneurs start. Sometimes it's again, I use the word where preparation meets opportunity. And that's really what it was with myself. And actually, it's the way it was with a lot of the internet gaming customers that we helped, that we associated with as our first customers when we weren't even focusing on gaming. So how we started was that simple idea. We're entering a new age, the age of the internet. Technology is allowing that to happen. And I had actually had a contract. I was for 3 years. As I told you, I was a CPA, but one of my customers was actually, they hired me to be the state of New York hired me to be through their Empire State Development organization, which is the business promotion economic development agency for the state. I managed, opened up their offices in Montreal. I'm from southern Quebec, but I was born just across the border in Plattsburgh, New York, so I had both citizenships. So it was at a time when Quebec was in the throes of separating, going to have a vote to separate from Canada. And it's my own backyard, and they asked me, would you go and let's look at that environment where people are nervous, uncertainty. So I took it as an opportunity to be in my own backyard, and was very involved in local Quebec politics, but was actually then living in Plattsburgh. And so we opened up the offices. One of the things I wanted to do was obviously my role was to meet lots of people. One person I'd always wanted to meet, a very well-known individual in the region, was the Grand Chief of the Mohawks, the Canadian Mohawks, in just literally across the St. Lawrence River from downtown Montreal, a man named Grand Chief Joe Norton. And so I had this view that they needed to be approached. This was their territory at one time, from Montreal to Albany. And we developed a very interesting relationship where he asked me, well, we'd like to grow our environment. So we almost had, well, we did get them to invest in a at that time, a closing air base in two closing air bases in New York State. In fact, you're based in New Jersey, so you may remember.
Sure.
McGuire
Air Force Base, yeah.
And it was either McGuire or Plattsburgh that was going to be shut down. And politics being what it was, McGuire won. There were more votes there than in upstate New York near the Canadian border. So, and Griffiths Air Base in Rome, New York, was also slated to reinvent itself. And so Plattsburgh, Griffiths set up Redevelopment Corporation. So I was very involved with that in the region that I lived in. And my background is, a CPA, a developer, real estate development, and entrepreneurial initiatives before this industry. So when he came to me, I actually approached him because he was a very famous guy, and so we actually got them to invest in Griffiths Air Base, their community, the Mohawk Economic Development Agency. Turned out not to be a good investment for them, but they would joke with me later that you're lucky we didn't make you run the gauntlet or scalp you, because they lost a lot of money on it. And but we developed this really close relationship. So I went to him and I said, you guys are sitting, real estate is location, location, location. They were sitting on the fiber between Montreal and New York City, going right through their territory on the rail lines that, the St. Lawrence Seaway goes through their territory. They have a bridge that they literally can stop all traffic going in or out of the Great Lakes to the St. Lawrence River because of this bridge that it's a railroad bridge, and there's a car bridge that goes there. So they were like a key controller of a transportation route. And networks, fiber for the internet was the new highway.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? You guys are your own jurisdiction. They've never signed treaties. They've never, and plus they have very good relations with both the Quebec province and the federal, actually the federal prime minister's office at the time, and proposed the idea, well, why don't we have you guys come into the internet age of e-commerce? And but it's going to start with building real estate. You've got this fiber that goes through here. You've got a third of the power that went into metropolitan Montreal going through their territory. Remember, and these were things that they didn't really get asked about. Typical, when the St. Lawrence Seaway was built, take the natives' land. When the railroads were built, go through the natives' land. And nobody asked them to put fiber in the ground along the railroad tracks. Nobody asked them to put high voltage power lines through their territory, really. And so they had all this infrastructure accessibility. So the Grand Chief said, yeah, explore this for us. And so we did. At that time, there were large companies that have since come and gone, raising what now seems like, not very much money compared to the amount of money that's being raised by this era of change in technology. Mm-hmm. So I went to the three top data center builders. I remember one of them was a company called Exodus. They just raised $1 billion to build a bunch of data centers throughout the U.S. and Canada. They were looking at sites, and given my real estate background, real estate development background, I said, okay, let's see if this is go through a site selection. I knew nothing about data centers. So I went to them and two others. They're the one that are interesting because they proposed doing a deal with the Mohawks where they would build a data center for them, 100,000 square foot data center. This was a perfect location. And, we're going to give them effectively a small, partnership interest in it, very small. So it sort of proved to me that, hey, this is a good location. And the Grand Chief said, why do we need them? Why can't we do it ourselves? So given that, he engaged me to, explore, not only building it, but also what do we put in it? The first thing, and as I said, I had a contract and was representing New York State. One of the first things, one of the first people I met was in that role was the retiring chief technology officer of the New York Stock Exchange, a fellow who's passed away now. This is 1998, 99. But he invited me to his offices literally off of Wall Street. He was retired. We sat around a table with a bunch of his associates and a couple of young entrepreneurs who were actually traders on the New York Stock Exchange, trading options. And they said, yeah, this would be a great place to do it. Would the Mohawks create legislation to be able to manage something? Because in what they were proposing to do is something related to an online exchange. This was before there were any online exchanges. So I say it now, but nobody was trading online. There was no real banking online. So one of the things we did a study with the former head of business development for the New York Stock Exchange and his friend, who was the CTO, retired, and we created a thing called the St. Lawrence Financial Authority. So we had a regulatory body that we had created, and using very top shelf people, SEC lawyers, people in Toronto at the Toronto Stock Exchange. It's going to be a very serious thing. There's some interesting partners from Los Angeles, from California. We were going to launch what was known as an entertainment exchange, where people, so rather than a quote unquote stock exchange, something that was I look back and say it was a great idea, with some very significant people in LA, where you could go in and basically do a B2C And now that I look back and see how gaming operates, you go right to the consumer and you could buy a piece of Kevin Spacey's next movie. So rather than going and getting a little investment group made up of friends and family and doctors or lawyers with excess funds that they want to say, I'm helping produce a movie here. So you go and you go to the market and say, you know what? Kevin Spacey or Tom Cruise or a musician, any creative artist, you could basically do a little security offering through the St. Lawrence Financial Authority, monitored by the Mohawks, and have this exchange take place. So it's the consumer that could actually buy into their favorite artist, their actor, a musician, whatever. It was a fabulous idea and would have worked. But what did it do? It got lots of attention, as you can imagine. Headlines that literally in the Wall Street Journal wasn't the top half of the page; it was the bottom half. But that Mohawks to create offshore haven. Get somebody to look at a controversial headline and it'll make them read the article. So that's what happened. We had done a lot of work on the St. Lawrence Financial Authority. We'd actually even met with the Office of the Controller of the Currency in the U.S. because the Mohawks are really, trans-border. They don't. So we were going to create, as a part of this, we called it the Mohawk National Network Bank for the Mohawks, and they were getting ready to associate with some bankers in the U.S. It was all a great big plan. When meanwhile we're making plans, found the right people to design and build the data center. Actually, someone who did it was actually still with me today after 25 years, who's happened to be a very talented Huron Indian from Quebec, but was an engineer and knew how to build data centers, wireless towers, so good technical skills. Headlines started getting calls, the Mohawks did, and because I was quoted in it, I started getting calls from people that knew me.
Yeah.
And one call was from a lawyer friend in Montreal who said, I've got some clients that might be interested in that data center that the Mohawks are building. And what do? Online gambling. And I said, online gambling? I didn't know what that was. I'd never even been to Las Vegas. Like I said, I'm not a gaming guy. That's how it started. Pure serendipity, being prepared when opportunity arises. And it's a pretty simple story after that. Most of these early adopters, who are probably 3 or 4 generations back, names that I won't really mention, but literally started the online gaming industry. None of them gaming people either. One was, it was really some of the big brands that you hear now. If you go back to their roots, it's these people that were there. And most of them were all in Antigua, who were giving licenses. Antigua was also in a fight with the U.S., because you remember at that time, the last thing that land-based casinos in Atlantic City or Vegas, the only 2 places that you could really gamble, wanted to see is this online gaming thing that was happening out of Antigua particularly. And they actually, if you remember, Antigua took the U.S. to the World Trade Organization and actually won the case against them. But and to Antigua's credit, they were entrepreneurs too. But it's not the place that these gaming entrepreneurs, people look at me now and say, "Oh wow, you're really smart to do that." And I said, I wasn't smart at all. I should have sold books. back at that time, because Jeff Bezos had started just a couple of years before. So, but we had then got pushed into this opportunity with some of these half dozen people that were in Antigua. Mm-hmm. We realized that we needed to build good technology, but we also knew that we needed to put a proper regulatory environment in place.
We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side. Sign up at jackpot.com and you can bet on the world's best lotteries where the biggest jackpots are up for grabs. Powerball, Mega Millions, some of the biggest lotteries can be found at jackpot.com. Simply choose your lotto game, pick your numbers, or use their quick pick feature, and you're done. Sign up at jackpot.com with code DRAW24 and get a free lottery ticket with your first deposit. Jackpot.com, it's the world of lotto in your hand. Terms and conditions apply. You must be at least 18 years old and in the United States to play. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
In a moment of need, every second counts. So first responders, delivery drivers, and visitors can find your home fast, even in the dark. This is about more than just a number. It's about safety, visibility, and peace of mind. We created a house number that is not only a beacon of safety, but also a work of art. Crafted from durable stainless steel and waterproof acrylic, with efficient, low-voltage LED backlighting, it's uniquely yours. Choose from 6 sizes, 4 fonts, and 6 colors, and match your home's mood with bright, neutral, or warm white halo lighting. Add dusk to dawn, dimming and timing controls for complete command.
Every order includes free worldwide shipping, plus a 2-year warranty on lighted numbers and all powering accessories.
This is the ultimate home upgrade. A perfect blend of style, quality, and function.
Buy yours today.
You're listening to House of Cards.
I'm talking sick piles of money. I'm talking lay on your bed in your Vegas room, throw the money in the air, and dance as it showers down on you money. I'm talking frosted glass limo money. I'm talking big cowboy hat, silver turquoise buckle money. I'm talking gambling.
I am in love with you.
Welcome back to House of Cards. Dave Weishuttle with you. For those of you just joining us, you're listening to part 1 of my interview with Michael Tobin, founder and CEO of Continent 8 Technologies. I'm glad you mentioned that because I've always said that Continent 8 has been doing amazing work for a very long time in a lot of locations around the world. And speaking as a lawyer, that is very impressive because regulations are different in every jurisdiction. I mean, I just had an interview with the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board, who has different rules than the state I'm sitting in, which is New Jersey, and we're only separated by the Delaware River. And adapting your operations to the different rules of regulations of a particular jurisdiction is incredibly important. And it really seems like you and Continent 8 does that so well. I mean, is that a challenge for Continent 8 in adapting the rules and regulations of a particular area? And how do you go through that regulatory process?
Well, I think, as I said, we recognized right away that if you're going to do gaming, online gaming, how do you take something as probably unregulatable as the internet? You can see that today, where it's, Anthropic. No, you can't, use the latest version of Claude out there. You can't regulate the internet. You just have to manage it in some fashion. But then you take something that's probably over-regulated as gambling, and gambling, but since then, I use the word gaming because I think the concern about addiction is just as bad now with things like esports and the not traditional gambling from 25 years ago, but all of the online, entertainment activities that take place. It's almost like overregulated, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And so we recognized right then and there you were going to not just be able to throw up a bunch of technology, put it on what is a pretty sophisticated and independent thinking First Nations territory, and expect people to believe you that it's just some nefarious people running this and using the native reserve as a front. We didn't want that. It was really truly about economic development and creating something that the Grand Chief had the vision to trust someone to partner with them in a way that wasn't just about the immediate money. That was happening all the time, and in a lot of the nation in Kahnawake, one of the biggest challenges we had was to get young Mohawks to come and work for us, because a lot of them were working in the cigarette factories where they were making a lot more money than we would. As we started to train people in IT, that wasn't too exciting back then. Mm-hmm. So it was truly about economic development, and the idea was important, that to have dialogue and discourse. The best way to do is not to, when you're in a competition, is not be an adversary, but get to know why you say yes to something and somebody says no. And I get it. Mm-hmm. When this was announced that the land-based gambling industry would certainly be against it. At that time, the U.S. Attorney General, John, forget his name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The land-based gambling industry was not prepared. Mm-hmm. So they tried to say, this is illegal, a bunch of criminals. So we had to do it right. So what we did, the Mohawks had, in the early 90s, been approached to build a land-based casino in their territory. It's a tremendous location where they are, as I said, right across from effectively downtown Montreal, on the south side of the St. Lawrence River. They had been the preferred spot for the first site for a North American Indian casino long before Foxwoods and Mohican Sun. And the community, they had set up a gaming commission, and surprisingly, they were also one of the locations that was one of the first places where UFC, what exists as UFC, Ultimate Fighting, and betting on it took place. And they were, big controversy with the Quebec authorities at that time. So they voted down as a community. They didn't want a land-based casino in their territory, but they'd set up a gaming commission for that in their law. And subsequent to that, investors went into Connecticut. But so they had this jurisdiction. They had this law or regulations for a gaming commission, didn't anticipate online. So the Grand Chief said, well, we can use this as the basis. We have it in law that we have looked at gambling as an industry, and we're prepared with community approval to go forward with it. But then we knew that if they just said, okay, here's our commission, and we're going to write new rules for online gaming. And by that time, the Northern Territories in Australia had launched. They were one of the first jurisdictions in the world to seriously put gaming regulations in place. Had launched online gaming regulations. And so we modeled a lot of what the Mohawks had their gaming law, but modeled what another jurisdiction had the foresight to be doing. But even if you needed somebody that would give it credibility, because you can write all the regulations you want, but if they're not implemented and followed through, it's just a piece of paper. So, as I said, at that time, a lot of rumblings in the U.S. because of Antigua, because of online gaming threatening, particularly a place like New Jersey and Atlantic City, the retiring, at that time, director of the Division of Gaming Enforcement literally was retiring. I researched a bit, and we'd met through this lawyer that I mentioned and another associate that we were introduced to in this period where we were, all of a sudden introduced that, iGambling, that exists, and hey, they might be a vertical that would come to our data center that being built for the Mohawks. The other industry that came to us was, as you can imagine, that was very successful, was the adult industry, and we said absolutely not to that industry. And so we so we need people to know that this is a credible endeavor and doing it the right way. And so we approached this chap, a guy named Frank Catania, who literally was retiring at the beginning of 1999, in January of 99. As soon as he finished as soon as he retired, I felt comfortable enough to go and approach him. And he'd been one of the big spokespersons that iGambling is a threat to the land-based industry. And so they just weren't, the land-based world weren't prepared to see how important this was for their business. And today it's just the opposite. Everybody's partnered with them, and it's a blended mix. So if you're afraid of something, you say, try to stop it. So approached Frank, and he came in as an advisor, and he could do it because it was not in the U.S. And I believe there's restrictions on what a former regulator can do within the U.S. But this was in Mohawk territory in Canada, so he was able to advise. But what it really did is give us some insights, and and frankly, I'm glad it was New Jersey because, we've over the years had a very strong partnership with New Jersey, and I'll get to that in a second. They are the preeminent regulator that launched this whole online initiative in the U.S., and a lot of other regulators are great. You mentioned Pennsylvania was soon to follow them, but that's another part of the story. So regulation is really, really important, and otherwise gaming can be quite destructive, not just iGambling, but gaming. So Frank came on board. We had other key advisors who knew the needs of the online gaming prospects that we had. But the one thing we wanted to make sure we did is to have the regulatory environment done right. And the Mohawks actually set up, a very rigorous gaming commission, despite the fact that a lot of people said, they're not doing anything. They were entrepreneurs in that. What happened soon after that, gaming became something that a lot of smaller jurisdictions said, hey, this is e-commerce. It's an activity that we can do the same thing as the Mohawks. So Gibraltar, Isle of Man, Malta, all said, let's us do it. We're small. We can do the same thing, which is another part of our story because as gaming entrepreneurs, bought into the concept of great technology, the Mohawks built the data center. They put the regulatory commission in place, supervised or advised by Frank Catania. So you had those two pieces. And so it just kind of mushroomed from there, where you had a customer that said, we want you as a supplier. And we became friends with a lot of these entrepreneurs to this day. All of them are long since not retired. They're all, you can't retire an entrepreneur, but they've made incredible amounts of wealth and, rolled over their businesses to Wall Street and other investors. And so that's how it started. That's a long-winded way. And I told you, if it was only 30 minutes, I would have abridged this thing to be succinct.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more House of Cards.
You're listening to the House of Cards.
Night. Not thrilling, but night.
Welcome back to House of Cards. For those of you just joining us, you're listening to part 1 of my interview with Michael Tobin, founder and CEO of Continent 8 Technologies. It's fascinating to see the development of this whole industry. I have always said that I have been astounded by the development of the technology in the iGaming and sports betting industry. And it seems like a couple times a week that gaming platforms or software companies contact this show and they want to come on and talk about their new AI products. I mean, AI has become a very important component for today's gaming operators and platforms. I'm curious, when it comes to AI, what should be the concerns for operators when it comes to secure data? I mean, when it comes to AI and security, how does Continent 8 provide those services in an industry it really seems to be dominated by artificial intelligence components?
Well, you're jumping ahead 30 years to now.
Oh, okay.
We still have the same, mentality. I talked about the type of products that we offer. Started with the data set, then we connect them all together. We have this global network. One of the first things that we're doing internally is we brought on a whole AI, and I say experts. Everybody's, you're an expert yesterday is not an expert today. It's it's happening so fast, right? With AI, but we are associating with a group that will become a part of our AI practice. We know that some of our customers are large customers have their own AI teams, but we've got some interesting things that we are doing with AI, managing and systems that are managing our network, managing our customer support, helping some of our SME type customers and even some of our large customers, dialogue and discourse about the use of AI. So it's a story that's not new. AI is obviously accelerating at a rapid pace.
Yeah.
But again, it comes back to trust. We exchange our experiences and learn from our customers who trust us. It's the next product set that we're adding to our cybersecurity is something that we've been doing literally from the time that we started building data centers. When you talk about protection, one of the first cybersecurity problems that the gaming industry had was because it was seen as profitable, and it was, they were getting attacked. This was long before companies like Cloudflare existed. It was denial of service attacks was the big thing that people were trying to avoid, shutting them down. And you had, the bad guys out there, the black hatters, just filling up the pipes and attacking these very profitable gaming companies who basically on, Saturday before Super Bowl Sunday, getting ransom threats that you pay me $100,000 or I'm going to shut your site down. And because we had developed literally probably 80% of the gaming traffic was going through us in our, by this time, global locations, because what we did is once we built the Mohawk data center for them, we actually brought them in initially as partners because my then partner and co-founder at that time, customers said, well, find another location for us in Europe, find a location for us in Asia. So we had the relationships with them. And we actually had the Mohawks at that time because it was economic development. We said, you know what, you guys have this data center. Do you want to invest in what we're going to do in other parts of the world? And they actually did until in 2016, we actually bought them out when we went into New Jersey because they had their own path and we had our own path. So they no longer have any interest in the business. But we had denial of service attacks all the time. So we said, you know what, we're going to develop something. So we developed one of the most sophisticated products that would stop these. So that was probably one of the earliest forms of cybersecurity that satisfied the needs of a very demanding customer. And we've added on more and more very quietly. We don't broadcast it much at all until in the last couple of years where we actually launched as a part of our Continent 8 group, a separate business called C8 Secure. So we're branding everything C8 Secure. We've got, C8 Cloud that we're developing clouds in all of our locations around the world. And so we're using that moniker to partner up with other skill sets, but leveraging the Continent 8 brand, the Continent 8 ecosystem, the Continent 8 concept, which I think Continent 8 is a better description for the quote-unquote metaverse that Mr. Zuckerberg used to describe, everything beyond everything in the binary world. So Continent 8 we're colonizing it with a lot of other people. And so C8 and Continent 8 Technologies, Continent 8, C8 Security, these are all tools that we'll play our own little part in it. In fact, it's funny because probably 5-6 years ago, we've had our cybersecurity business that we actually had a small a rocket launching company on the Space Coast here in Florida.
Really? Wow.
Who came to us and they said, we're going to be launching, and right next to SpaceX, they said, there's a market for not just like SpaceX and now Blue Horizon. They suck up all the big government contracts, the NASA launches, and obviously quite a success story, as we know, with Elon and that. But they were a little launch company that had a small green launch process, and we were hired to provide cybersecurity for them and prepare what they said, we're going to launch low orbital satellites. And I actually talked, this is like 5 years ago, to one of our larger customers to say, why don't you guys become the first casino in space? And we actually were exploring what kind of servers do you need to put into a constellation that this customer of ours was preparing to do, a little niche market. Little did I know I should have dropped everything else and tried to be maybe I would have been bought by Elon this week, sort of thing. But I don't do it because I want to sell out and become wealthy. I've become wealthy just in the relationships we've had. And as an entrepreneur, you're a lot of what you do is because you enjoy the people, you enjoy the challenge, you enjoy being creative, you enjoy the people that are your customers, you enjoy the people that are your team. And so we're small. We have like less than 400 people in our business, but we're going through a major transition, as I say, to really put people globally around the world and create a culture where, not everybody wants to, work for a big corporate entity. And that's the thing that, we've tried to do is to create an environment that is growing and lots of opportunities come from it. But it's almost ballast against the big tech, big corporates, big government, big labor. We need some sort of balance in the world. Not everybody's going to be Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or the next gazillionaire out there. A lot of value comes from, for me, going to Montreal, to the Ganawagi Nation there, and seeing a former steel worker who, lived his life. The Mohawks and Ganawagi were like quite well known for building iron workers. And in fact, on 9/11, a lot of them went. They actually made up a lot of the workforce when the World Trade Center was built. And in fact, they have, so they sent a lot of men down after the disaster at 9/11, and in the little Mohawk church that the Jesuits founded back in the 1600s. There's one of the cross beams from like the 87th floor with the construction drawings that were in the rubble, because every time they'd finish a floor building, they'd stick the as-built in and seal it up, and so a special connection between New York and Kahnawake because of the steelworkers. But a steelworker was our head of security. A former Vietnam vet was at Hamburger Hill, and he was getting tired of traveling to New York all the time and being up on the iron, and he became our head of security.
Wow.
Didn't have to travel. Had a pretty easy job working for us, and was just a tremendous part of what brings you satisfaction in the business. It's the people then, and it's the people now. Christina's joined us. She's on the line. You can't see her, but she's in Sofia. I'm heading out to our offices in Manila, where we're growing rapidly. There, we're in India with a rapidly growing operation there. We're in Montreal. We're in obviously Atlantic City. We're all over the place, and just enjoying the next phase of where technology is going to empower people with ideas, be it Elon Musk or be it that young kid that lives in South Jersey, who says, "Hey, I love gaming. I've got an idea for something." And trust me, this is a great industry where entrepreneurs can actually make it, and it's not about gambling. It's about entrepreneurship and an exciting entertainment industry.
Well, that'll do it for us this week. Tune in next week for part 2 of my conversation with Michael Tobin, founder and CEO of Continent 8 Technologies on House of Cards.